Legal expert Advocate Molatelo Mahapa joins us now to share her opinion about this. A very good evening to Advocate Mahapa, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Perhaps it's prudent that we start with that excerpt of my colleague's report where he speaks about those that would have been invited or wanted to be subpoenaed to testify. It was spoken about Bianca Mvuyane, Natasha Mazzoni, the president, and many other names who didn't make it onto the roll call, so to speak. But we're speaking now about the former public protector, that there's an agreement that a subpoena must be sent out to her. What instruments are used, or what guides who should be subpoenaed, who should be allowed to come in and testify or not?
Thank you very much, and good evening to the viewers at home. It's quite a very tricky one on the basis that remember that the processes that are followed in this commission are quite different from, our normal processes in courts. However, when the proceedings, I think, started, it was clear between the parties that any party who feels like, calling witnesses or would want people to come appear, they should then, call them in. If then those people don't respond accordingly, then, the committee will then, subpoena them or summon them to come and appear. So the committee itself has the latitude to actually invite those, who are supposed to appear or to be subpoenaed. However, in terms of whether one qualifies or not, obviously from what has transpired is that the evaluation is actually made to see if, a witness would be relevant, to the proceedings or not. But it's quite tricky because how do you even determine, how the person who requires one to appear, how do you even determine, the relevancy and how they would approach the matter and how they envisage that person to be relevant to the proceedings? I think it's quite dicey. It's not a clear-cut, process.
So let's just look at what the counsel for Advocate Mkhwebane has said. That is Advocate Dalimpofu, pointing to the fact that Advocate Madonsela has been critical of Advocate Mkhwebane and her methods. Are you able to just share with us what this is based on, what has come out of this that makes her such a critical and strategic witness to subpoena, and yet allows some of those who refuse to appear to in fact do that, refuse to appear before the committee?
May you kindly repeat that question again?
Okay, so we're talking about Advocate...
You got cut off from my side.
Oh, apologies. We're talking about Advocate Madonsela. The fact that Advocate Mpofu has said that she has been critical of Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane in the past, and this is why they would like her to appear before the committee. But I go again to the issue of the strategic importance of subpoenaing her. What is it that she has said or that has been said about her that makes her somebody that is worthwhile subpoenaing if she does not volunteer to appear before the committee?
I guess in this instance, the reason why probably she's being called to appear is on the basis that she's actually the former public prosecutor, and obviously had the same role that she played, and obviously being under the same guidelines and guidances and laws that the very same, Busisiwe Mkhwebane was under or is still, because her term is not yet ended. Depending on the strategy that obviously her legal team is going to utilize, but I'm just thinking that maybe because she was in the same office, probably there are some processes that, she herself followed and they might relate or even refer to in terms of how maybe Mkhwebane conducted herself or so on. But you can only know exactly the relevance of her, being subpoenaed, obviously when she's actually in the proceedings.
Okay, so there's the issue of the Section 7-9 notice to Minister Gordon that was apparently raised in an article by Advocate Madonsela, and how she perceives Advocate Mkhwebane to have behaved by making it public. And I'm just wondering, as a public protector, are there guidelines, are there laws on how to conduct yourself when dealing with investigations that are so clear-cut that you are denied discretion on how you communicate with the public on what should be deemed as a matter in the public domain?
Obviously, the Public Protector's Office has guidelines in terms of how they should, conduct themselves. But obviously, there's a certain level of discretion as well afforded to the Public Protector in some instances. So how I view the matter is that in this, the one in particular that you're referring to, there are no clear-cut guidelines that are actually, being put forth in terms of how, they should be dealt with.
Okay, just a final question.
And hence, hence the, the uproar that actually happened when the former public protector raised that issue.
And perhaps latching on to the term uproar, there has been the issue of good faith, bad blood that has continually been thrown up in this Section 1924 committee, particularly, for instance, I'll look at the Senior Public Protector Manager, that is Niels van der Merwe, who also has been cross-examined by Advocate Mpofu, and it has to do with the remuneration, particularly of quote-unquote black lawyers representing Advocate Mkhwebane. I wonder how much of this is going to color how the parties in this hearing, in this committee, interact with each other from your point of view.
Yeah, that has been a very, thorny subject or thorny issue. I think how it was set out, it was very clear that it didn't come out very well as it was supposed to. If for instance, the reason why it was mentioned was to talk about maybe expenses in the Public Protector's Office, that was supposed to have been done without singling out, individuals and to say, this particular person received so much money. Because really, thus far, there's no basis for that particular, argument that was put forth in that particular manner. So even now, as I'm sitting, I'm still battling to actually come to the, to a view in terms of really what was the basis of that approach.
Advocate Mahapa, thank you.
Indeed.
I am sorry, but unfortunately we have run out of time. But thank you so much for speaking to us, legal analyst, Advocate Molatelo Mahapa, just speaking to us about the proceedings that are still to unfold on that Section 194 committee.